Hello friends, welcome back for another part of our walkthrough of Oxygen Not Included Spaced Out DLC. Let's take a look at what has changed in the last little bit. I am clearing space on purpose for what we're going to be talking about in this video, so I'm going to eventually be moving these bedrooms out of the way. I did move my research stations and my food production area over to just right below. So it's actually even a little bit of a better route for grabbing food and going in there and eating for the time being, so... yeah, I got that done. Getting this ice biome all finished up. Just gonna create a new entrance to grab this sleep wheat here because I want it. So just gonna close this off really quick, and that should be that. Also, I'm gonna talk a little bit about all the random buildings you're probably finding around the map by now. So this is the Critter Fluxomatic. We're probably not gonna do anything with it during this run. I'll talk about it in a separate video, but there's not a whole lot of utility that we have, at least like... it's pretty, like, specialized utility. I'm not going to worry about it during this run, because you don't really need it. Same thing with the Gravitas shipping container. I'll talk about that in a separate video. Where was the other one? Oh, the teleporters. Yeah, so the teleporters, these are how we're going to get to other asteroids. So we'll deal with these later, but if you take a look at this, it's going to send us over to this asteroid, which is the, like, swampy asteroid. So yeah, we'll be going there eventually, just not right away. And if you go into any of these buildings, just hit inspect on them because they will give you data banks which are useful for research later. So this is just kind of a small thing to do as you're like clicking around the map and finding some extra buildings. Yeah, so like here too, you can inspect here. If you're interested in what it says here, then yeah, you can always read those for yourself, but not super useful, obviously. This artifact we will eventually want to analyze, so we'll take care of that at some point. Yeah, let's also talk about these teleporters. These teleporters are going to be ways for your duplicants to send stuff back and forth from the other asteroids. So find some time just to hit activate on them, and then we'll need to activate them on the other planet, or asteroid, whatever, in order to send supplies back and forth. So I just wanted to mention that because... you could be, I haven't mentioned it before, but you could just be kind of like looking around and seeing a bunch of random things, and it can be distracting, but we'll talk about all of them that matter at the times that we need to. So for right now, just kind of build around them. Don't deconstruct them if you're not sure. So yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about what this main video's, or the main point of this video is going to be talking about, which is shipping. We now finally have duplicants with 5 skill points, which is where we're finally allowed to get far enough into the tree to do our mechatronics engineering. I want my builder to be focusing on this, but my builder has been spec'd into other things so far, which makes sense, but I want to clear off their skills and allow them to participate in building up our lines for shipping. Let's check our printing pod here. Okay, whatever. Alright, so shipping. The first thing that we need if we're going to set up a shipping network is just a place to drop off all of our supplies. So I'm going to create... oh, by the way, one thing I forgot to mention. Keep up on your rock crusher. I did start another errand that was 80 things of gold amalgam into gold. I guess 80 whatever. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, you want to keep up on that so you have enough refined metal for this part of the game. So what I'm going to do for a sorting area... so I'm just going to start off with 2 auto sweepers set up like this. Somewhere in a reserved area that's like not going to be too clogged up by a bunch of other things that need shipping. So I'm doing it next to my bathroom, which is always a good place. And then these will eventually get turned into bedroom areas. So yeah, I'm going to do those first 2. Then I'm going to see how far out these extend. And I'm going to reserve these 4 spaces for drop-offs for anything that we ship here. So I'm just going to drop conveyor chutes right here so that both of the arms can reach either side. Getting some gigantic brownouts here. Definitely need our suppliers to get on this. There we go. That was the first time that had happened. That was interesting. So yeah, and this is also interesting because coal is going to be something that we need to continually produce because we're running on a non-renewable resource right now. So our shipping network will definitely help us with that. And we'll talk about that in the next video, I think. But this one's going to be mostly just about the shipping. So, if we have a bunch of conveyor chutes here, that means whatever we want to ship, we can just ship to this central location. And this is going to be our sorting area so that it gets sent out to the different places that it needs to go. So, for example, any of the food that I find should probably go here if it's ready to be cooked. But if it's ready to be eaten, I could store it somewhere else that's more convenient for my duplicants, like, I don't know, over here or something. We'll build a better food setup for this eventually, but we need our shipping network all up first. So, yeah, let's start setting up ways to send this material in here so that my duplicants don't need to run as far to grab some of the stuff that they're getting. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I was going to be continually mining down to look for that somnium synthesizer, which I haven't found yet. But eventually I will dig it all out with ladders, and eventually I'll stop and build a layer with this granite tile and mesh tiles and stuff like that. That's so we have a good way to ship all this stuff back to the center of our base. So I'm just going to create some auto sweepers down here that are going to be responsible for sending all this stuff back, so that my duplicates might not need to carry stuff nearly as far if they're going to be doing their work. Plus, as we start getting some of our other systems set up, this will automatically put it into our network so that we don't need to worry about, say, refilling our coal generators would be one good reason to do this. So, just going to set up some lines here, and this line is just going to go all the way back to one of our drop-offs. It doesn't really matter which one. Whoops. I don't want to go underneath it, actually, so I'm going to go down and go like that. Just send it into this drop-off here. And then I need to respec my builder because my builder skills have been cleared. So my builder is going to be focusing the most on this setup, or this build here, and you will need the special skill to have them actually be able to do this. Another thing I'm going to do, which is pretty common, at least in my last walkthrough, any of these auto sweepers, I'm going to set them up on a timer sensor so that they're only running part of the time, since they're capable of moving material faster than these conveyor loaders are capable of receiving it. Or rather, sending it out, whatever. So yeah, I'm just going to set up something like this, and I will get it all connected to power so that you can see it running. I would normally just do this, but I want to hook it all up so you can see how it works when it's time to have it work. So yeah, in the meantime, we can think about other places or other things we might want to be shipping around. So one of which, like I mentioned, is going to be our coal generators. I'm also trying to think about, like, where am I going to move stuff eventually, because these coal generators are kind of in the way. This is some pretty good real estate for whatever living quarter support you might want to have here, so I might move it over here at some point. So I'm just going to try to set up my shipping area to have the bins near where they're going to go. So I think I'm going to get this out of the way and kind of move it over just a little bit so I have more space for my sorting area. Let me destroy this. And then it's going to come up here, run back into this line, and then back out down here. Okay. Get all this out of the way. All right. My shipping areas, or my sorting area, is going to be large because there's going to be a lot of stuff that we need to store in our main base. So I'm going to set it up like this with 2 auto sweepers on each side just so they can keep each of the bins satisfied if there's a lot of stuff coming in all at once, which there eventually will be. For right now, if a bunch of them are dormant, it's not that big of a deal, so... Why did this spill all over the place? That was weird. Oh no, into our clean water. Ah. Alright. Now let's get a line set up that's going to be sending our coal somewhere so that once we get this all done, and hopefully by the end of this video, we'll at least have some lines set up so that we can ship stuff around this area, since that's where it's going to be mostly used. Alright, so if I set up a bin, say like right here, these arms, and the reason I set this up, the reason I set these auto sweepers like this is so that anything within this area, so like anything from here to here, I think, yeah, will be able to be sorted into our system, which allows me a lot of space for conveyor loaders to send stuff around. We're also going to want to send our food down here, so we might as well just set something up like, I don't know, here. I'm going to want to keep these 2 spaces open because if I ever have anything that I need to directly sweep and just drop off in this area by my duplicates, I'd rather do it here, just because it's going to be in range of all of my auto sweepers. Let's set those lines up really quickly. I'm just going to ship it straight down. We'll be more elegant later on if we need to. I'm going to drop this off in a conveyor chute for right now. We will change this to a different building, but for right now, any coal that we find, let's just send it here. There's only going to be one thing asking for it, so there's no reason to be any more elegant than just dumping it on the floor. Let's see, our food. How do I want to do this? I guess I'll just send it over to the side like that. We'll set up an auto sweeper that is capable of moving stuff around our food area, and then when it's done food, I want to send it back. So, well, actually I don't want to do that yet because I don't have the rest of the setup, so let's just leave it like this. Okay, and then we need some auto sweepers to load our coal generators. So there we go, just kind of set it up like this to make sure that they can both reach the drop-off point and they can both at least cover all of my coal generators. Just hook it up like this. And by the way, I'm going to have a lot of stuff on one power line for right now. I will eventually split these up, and that'll be something that you'll need to do. But you'll also note that if you hover over this, my potential load is way higher than these wires can handle, but it only works because not everything on this line is working at the same time. You can see what the current load is, and I'm about like 40 to 60% usage rate for it most of the time. Sometimes it spikes up, and when it does spike up, that's usually just going to make my transformer get drained. But we have a little bit of wiggle room. If we need to create more, we can always just drop a transformer somewhere and just split up the lines so that like half of the stuff is on one transformer and half the stuff is on the other transformer. But for right now, they're all just going to be on the same one until we are forced to do something else. Alright, now we're kind of stuck in a position right now where only 2 of our duplicates are capable of building out the rest of the stuff that we need to build. And especially the stuff down here. Oh, this is ready. Okay, cool. So, the timer sensor. Let's set this up. I want to set up the green duration for about 15 seconds. And especially considering there's going to be 2 different loaders on the same line. Or rather, yeah, conveyor loaders, yeah. Yes. So since there's going to be 2 of them on the same line, I probably want to set the red to about 60 seconds. This will mean that my arms, I always call these arms auto sweepers, are only running about 1/5 of the time. And this is going to help us save on energy when we're doing all this stuff. I know there are better ways to do this. I know that you could use the automatic dispensers and kind of chain them together with these auto sweepers. But I'm just deciding to not do that only because I feel like it's a little bit too awkward and too much for like a lot of newer players to try to build around. It's so goofy. This is just kind of a set and forget method, and we don't need all of our materials in one place like as soon as possible. We just need a steady stream of them, so I'm not too worried about it. So these auto sweepers, or sorry, the conveyor loaders, I want them to accept everything, so I'm just going to check all, and then we'll connect this up to power, and we're in the red right now, so I'm just going to reset the timer so you can see it working. So these will basically grab this, they'll load it up, the timer sensor will eventually turn red, because these are still busy unloading. They won't be able to unload as fast as the auto sweepers can load them. So they're just going to send material up the line. It's all going to get dropped off at one of my drop-off areas, and then we're going to sort it. So the stuff that I want to go in here, this is my line for all my food. So I want to send my cooking ingredients, my edibles, anything like that are going to go down this line, and they're going to be dropped off here. And then this auto sweeper is going to load the barbecue or load the refrigerator or whatever we need to. Same thing with here. This is just going to be coal. So any coal that we get, I want to send down to this area so that it can be automatically loaded into my coal generators. So that's, I mean, that's pretty much the idea. So the other places we could probably think about doing this are for our food. So you could set up something like this. Running out of metals here. You could set up something like this that is capable of shipping all this stuff back. We're going to have to redo this in just a little bit, but this is just to get the idea of what you could be doing. This is so when I have food done, I don't need to have a duplicate run the food from here all the way down to the electric grill every single time it's needed. I can just send it in my shipping system, and it'll drop it all on the floor nearby until there's space in the refrigerator. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea. Let's check our printing pod since it just went off. Hatchling eggs. Perfect timing. We're going to be talking about that one next. I'm going to cancel these builds only because we're going to be restructuring this area a little bit. And this next video is going to come up immediately after this one, so I guess I'm just going to sign off with this. We're going to jump into hatch ranching next, now that we have our shipping network up, and we're going to be able to get on a renewable supply of coal. So I'll see you in that one here really quickly.